Welcome back. In part 1, we covered the baseline, fixed windows, overlap, and recursive splits, cheap, predictable, easy to benchmark, and where most teams start. That stack works until it doesn't. Plain text with paragraphs and new lines? Often fine. Real docs with headings, tables, reading order, topic shifts inside a section, or one-liners that only make sense in context. Dumb scissors hit a ceiling. Part 2 is the smarter half, layout-aware chunking, semantic boundaries, parent/child hierarchies, contextual and late chunking, metadata per chunk, hybrid stacks in production, and how to evaluate what's actually worth the complexity on your corpus. Same question as before. What's the smallest piece you're willing to retrieve? And does that piece still mean the right thing when it lands in the prompt? Let's go. If this helped, like and subscribe. It pushes the lessons to people who actually care about the topic, and you'll catch the next videos in this series. It costs you nothing, but it means a lot to me and my team. If something clicked or you have a question, leave a comment with your use case. I read comments, and they steer what I publish next. To learn more about me, visit this page. For agents, RAG, MCP, and related pages, visit this page. Same links are below in the description and pinned comment. Huge thanks. Your attention makes the work worth it for me and everyone behind the channel. Recursive splitting assumes you already have clean text. Real docs often don't. Layout-aware chunking, also structure-aware or document-aware, builds chunks from the document's logical and visual structure, pages, headings, blocks, lists, tables, and reading order, usually after a proper parser, not from one flattened string. In practice, a parser or layout model first converts the document into structured elements, for example, headings, paragraphs, tables, figures, and lists. Chunk boundaries are then created using deterministic rules, such as starting a new chunk at a heading, keeping tables intact, or recursively splitting oversized sections. While LLM-based approaches exist, most production systems rely primarily on parsers, layout detection, and rule-based chunking because they are faster, cheaper, and more predictable. In addition to the techniques discussed earlier, many systems apply other rule-based and heuristic chunking strategies instead of LLM-driven chunking approaches. Recursive chunking splits text by trying large separators first, for example, sections, paragraphs, then progressively smaller ones until each chunk fits the target size, optionally adding overlap between chunks. Regex-based chunking creates boundaries whenever a specified pattern is matched, rather than relying solely on token counts. Page break chunking preserves the original document structure by splitting content at page boundaries, which is common for PDFs, scanned documents, and Word exports. Sentence and paragraph chunking use natural language boundaries instead of fixed-size windows. Paragraph chunking typically splits on blank lines or double new lines, while sentence chunking uses sentence tokenizers to avoid incorrect splits around abbreviations, numbers, or punctuation. After chunk creation, many pipelines apply post-processing heuristics such as merging chunks that are too small, resplitting chunks that exceed size limits, and removing repeated headers, footers, or page artifacts. These techniques remain lightweight, deterministic, and inexpensive compared to embedding-based or LLM-driven chunking approaches. The goal: don't merge unrelated blocks just because they're adjacent bytes in a PDF export. For example, a policy PDF becomes chunks, like Section 3.2 refunds, body text under that heading, plus a separate chunk for the refund table with caption, not one blob mixing the intro paragraph with table cells. Why people use it? Help portals, manuals, legal PDFs, slide decks, anywhere headings and tables carry meaning, often a big jump in retrieval quality versus dumb scissors on extracted text. Trade-offs depends on ingest quality. Bad OCR, optical character recognition, broken HTML, or weak layout detection can lead to poor chunk boundaries anyway. Parsers and layout models add pipeline complexity and cost. Rule of thumb: use when your corpus is structured documents, not chat logs. A common stack is parser, unstructured, dockling, cloud OCR, then chunk by heading, block, or table, and optionally apply recursive splitting inside oversized sections. Structure-aware chunking respects document layout. Next, semantic chunking. Split where the topic changes, even when there's no heading to tell you where. Structure-aware chunking needs headings and blocks. Some docs don't have them, or the topic shifts inside a section with no visual break. Semantic chunking splits content where the meaning or topic changes. The most common approach is to generate embeddings for neighboring sentences, paragraphs, or small text windows and compare their similarity using a distance metric such as cosine similarity. When the similarity between adjacent segments drops below a chosen threshold, the system treats that point as a potential chunk boundary because the topic is likely changing. Some implementations use sliding windows, sentence groups, or breakpoint detection algorithms to identify significant semantic shifts, while more advanced approaches may apply clustering or graph-based methods to group related content together. Unlike rule-based chunking, semantic chunking focuses on preserving coherent ideas rather than fixed sizes, headings, or formatting, making it particularly useful when documents have weak structure or unclear section boundaries. Common methods used: adjacent embedding comparison, most common. Compare paragraph A versus paragraph B. If similarity falls below a threshold, then split. Sliding window similarity. Compare groups of sentences instead of individual sentences to reduce noise. Breakpoint detection. Look for large drops in semantic similarity across the document. Clustering. Group semantically related paragraphs together, then form chunks from clusters. Graph-based approaches build a similarity graph and detect communities/topics. The first method, adjacent embedding comparison with cosine similarity, is what most people mean when they say semantic chunking. For example, one long wiki page covers install the app, then configure SSO, single sign-on, then billing. Semantic splitting may produce 3 chunks at those topic shifts, even if it's one continuous page with weak headings. Why people use it? Better when content is narrative or mixed topic, runbooks, long FAQs, exported threads, where rule-based cuts miss the real seams. Trade-offs: heavier than recursive split, extra embedding passes at ingest, thresholds to tune, risk of overfragmenting or undersplitting. Slower and harder to reproduce than fixed windows. Rule of thumb: reach for it when layout alone isn't enough, and evals show right doc, wrong section on otherwise clean text. Often combined, structure first, semantic inside oversized sections. Semantic chunking uses embeddings to find boundaries. Next, hierarchical, parent/child, chunking. Small pieces for search, bigger pieces for context at prompt time. So that's the smarter half of chunking: layout-aware splits, semantic boundaries, parent/child hierarchies, contextual and late chunking, metadata per chunk, and the hybrid stacks teams actually ship. Part 1 gave you cheap, predictable baselines: fixed windows, overlap, recursive separators. Part 2 is what you add when plain text stops being enough, when structure lives in layout, when topics shift without headings, when search needs a needle but the model needs the haystack, and when the same sentence means different things in different docs. Remember the map from the start. These aren't mutually exclusive boxes. Production pipelines stack them: parser first, split by heading or block, recursive inside oversized sections, overlap on boundaries, small children linked to parents, maybe a contextual prefix before embed, then filters on metadata at query time. The through line is the same question from part 1. What's the smallest piece you're willing to retrieve? And does it still mean the right thing when it lands in the prompt? Chunking is where you encode your information architecture into the index, get boundaries and metadata disciplined, and retrieval stops feeling random. How to actually choose. Baseline on fixed or recursive plus overlap. Golden questions from your corpus. Measure recall, write doc, write section, answer faithfulness, not vibes. Change one axis at a time. Ship the simplest stack that hits your bar, and keep chunked traceability so you know what failed when it fails. When chunking still feels wrong, the fix is usually boundaries or metadata, not a bigger embedding model. Thanks for watching Part 2. If Part 1 plus Part 2 helped, like and subscribe, and drop a comment with what you're indexing and which pattern you're trying next. I read them and they steer what I publish next.